Neil, my brother, he's got learning difficulties. He's very, very strong-willed and he knows his own mind, but he really doesn't like change unless he's going on holiday or an outing somewhere. And he was very, very content with his time at Templeton. Growing up as children, we lived in Barnsley, and my mum died in 2000. So since then, I've only really been the main family contact that Neil's had. He visits my husband and myself on a regular basis, and we take him out regularly as well, usually to his favourite pub for pub lunch. He was at Templeton for a good number of years, and he always saw himself as the top dog there, because he'd been the longest resident there, and he was also the eldest. As I'm next of kin and also his guardian as well, I get regular updates from Templeton, and I was also involved in the annual reviews as well. At the annual reviews, we used to be informed of Neil's progression, and most of the time it was very, very positive, no causes for concern whatsoever. His care was excellent there. His social worker at that time did actually recommend that he moved to live independently. This I was really, really worried about, and the worst thing was if he was to move back to Barnsley. I mean, he's lived in Lancaster for such a long time, and I live in Manchester. So I just thought there's no way that this can happen. So I found that Neil got really, really anxious in these meetings when the mention of moving, when it was mentioned about moving. And you see, the thing is with Neil is he can't express his fears like you and I would. So often he would seem like he was agreeing. At the review last year, I met Louise from Barnsley, his social worker. She'd met up with Neil prior to meeting with me to assess Neil's needs, etc., see what he needed on a care package and so on, and also to see if he was receiving excessive care at Templeton. The fact that the Neil had been asked to move and live independently, actually it did horrify me. And I just thought there's no way that this is happening. He's not going to be able to cope living on his own. I was so concerned that I did think about contacting our local MP to see if he would support Neil and myself to keep him at Templeton. I had several meetings with Louise and many, many conversations on the telephone. And she had some really, really good arguments as to why Neil should be living independently. And after listening to her, she did give me a lot of food for thought. Neil went to visit Barnsley with Louise, and he liked it. He had a good day out, but he didn't like it enough to want to live there. So Louise got in touch with Lancaster Social Services to see if we could find a more suitable accommodation for him within Lancaster. In May 2013, I got a phone call from Louise asking me to go and have a look at a flat in Lancaster. Well, I thought, well, I'm going to have to do this because we've got to encourage Neil, we've got to try and convince Neil that this is the right thing to do. But not only convincing Neil, but convincing myself as well. We met the manager who was in charge of the residents, and he was very, very amenable, very likeable, and you could tell that he'd got years of experience with that type of care. He said that we'll get a care package together for Neil, depending on what his assessment is. And I must admit that really, really put my mind at ease. The flat itself was amazing, even though most of it resembled a building site. But there was a fitted kitchen in there, and when we had a look around, I just knew that this would be a perfect little pad for Neil. You could see its potential. Once we'd left there, we were both really, really excited. So we told Louise, this is in a perfect area. It's a perfect place for him to live. It's ideal. It's suitable for him. So she set the ball rolling. But over the next couple of weeks, Neil got really, really, really anxious. Very, very unsettled. Templeton phoned me, the staff from Templeton, they phoned me on numerous occasions, and Neil contacted me himself as well, and it was very stressful for him. So I tried to convince him and talk to him, explain how good this was going to be for him, that he'd still be able to have his friends round, he'll still be able to cook, etc. And Louise was amazing as well. She visited him at Templeton on a regular basis, talking him through the process, what he'd be able to do about the care package that would be created for him. Just basically trying to put his mind at ease and stop him from feeling so unsettled and so anxious. I was really concerned because obviously he'd made a lot of friends at Templeton. Not just at Templeton, but also at the Gateway Club as well that he went to. I thought moving on his own, living on his own is just going to be so lonely. Who's he going to talk to? And my other concern was as well was, is he going to end up with an uncared for appearance? Neil moved into his new flat in October 2013, and he bought all his own furniture, all his bedroom furniture, his living room furniture, towels, sheets, etc. Anything a normal person would buy when they were moving into their flat for the first time. Once he'd settled in, myself and my husband went to visit him, and it was amazing. It was so tasteful. It got everything matching, even the artwork on the wall was tasteful. And it was spotlessly clean. I was amazed, absolutely amazed. It's the best thing that's happened to Neil. It's the perfect flat in the perfect area, and it's just changed him completely. He's so confident, and I'm just so proud of him. Even on his visits to the Gateway Club, he's got in a taxi on his own, and I never ever thought that Neil would be capable of doing that. His confidence is just amazing, and it made me laugh when he knew that he had got bills to pay, but he was disgusted that he had to pay the electric, the gas, the water and the council tax. But obviously he's aware that it's not just him, we all have to pay those bills. I'm really pleased that he's been allowed to stay in Lancaster. It's the best thing that's happened to him. He loves to show off his new house as well, and when he's got his visitors round, he's really, really proud of his new home. So I'm happy to say that all my fears really were unfounded, and I'm really, really pleased with the amount of work that Louise has put in to find Neil somewhere suitable, and that to identify the fact that he is able to live independently. It's the best thing that's happened to him. You couldn't ask for a better outcome.
The governing body heard the account of Justine, whose adult brother Neil has learning disabilities and was placed in a special facility in the northwest some 15 years ago, following an unstable episode which has not reoccurred. She shared how unsure and anxious she and Neil had been about moving him to a supported living arrangement to best enable him to fulfil his potential, and how the support of his case manager had assisted what was ultimately a highly positive move for Neil. Justine described how proud she is of Neil in achieving what others take for granted, such as taking a taxi on his own and moaning about paying the bills. The governing body noted the positive impact of a tenacious, person-centred approach to maximise an individual's quality of life.